I made a video last week called How to Live a Life That Isn't Boring. And after I posted that video, I started thinking about it. Now I know in my mind the idea of boredom has a negative connotation, but I don't think boredom is necessarily a bad thing. And I always like to look at the devil's advocate side of the argument to see what other people are thinking about the topic. So I found a video on YouTube arguing that boredom is a good thing and it enhances your life. And I really wanted to know more about why this was. So I decided to react to it on stream. And if you're not following me on my Twitch, you can follow me at twitch.tv/MATOKA. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel. The goal right now is to get 2,000 subscribers and we're slowly but surely getting there. So here's me reacting to the video. No one's here. I would say like, oh, say hi to YouTube, but literally no one's here, so it doesn't really matter, right? But anyway, so I posted a video today. It was how to live a life that isn't boring. If I look at the video analytics for it, it looks like the like to dislike ratio is pretty proportionate. There were a lot more dislikes I'm getting on this video than I usually do. So in order to have a devil's advocate kind of view, I want to react to a video that I found. It's called Why Boredom Is Good for You. Maybe it's kind of a mindset that I can adopt in the near future, because I don't know, me just feeling like I'm living a boring life right now and trying to strive for that adventure. Like I said in the video, something like Yes Theory and Luke Corns, I mean those are extreme, but I kind of want to like try to go in that direction eventually. I didn't really talk about why boredom is good for you because I don't really have anything but negative reactions to boredom in general. So I thought we could watch this video together and kind of just react and see if this is actually something that is legitimate, something that I can take a few lessons away from. We're gonna hop into this video really quick and kind of see what's up.
95% of American adults report participating in some leisure activities over the past 24 hours, but only 17% say they spent any time at all just relaxing and thinking, because that apparently is boring, and being bored is unpleasant.
I wouldn't necessarily say that relaxing with your thoughts is necessarily boring. I feel like it's more like a lot of people don't like to self-reflect in general, so they try and do as like get their schedule as packed as possible and try and do as many different things as possible in order to avoid the idea of having to think about life, having to self-reflect in any kind of way. And honestly, like I feel like that's almost a bigger proportion than people who are just bored in general. A lot of people don't even think about the idea of self-reflection. They just think about the idea of being bored.
And there are now more ways than ever to avoid boredom. With Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, not to mention my chronic news habit, waiting in line, sitting in a coffee shop, stopped at a traffic light.
Even when I'm on social media a lot, I feel like that's not necessarily like super entertaining. It's just a weird concept because social media is meant to make people not bored, right? Like when I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos or just like TikTok or content in general, I'm not necessarily engaged with it like at this point in life because everything is how the way it is technology wise. It's almost like you just need noise to fill in the gap. And I feel like I am more tuned in when I'm actually creating content compared to consuming content.
Are we losing anything by avoiding boredom? Well, scientific research says yes. The state of boredom is one where your attention is not focused on anything in particular. Researchers have shown this mind wandering is useful for creativity.
First of all, the context of my video on how like living a boring life, I guess the issue with comparing it to something like this is that the definition of boredom is different. For my video, the definition of boredom was just uneventful. Still doing things, still living life, but it not being as exciting as some compatriots' lives. That's basically just my own opinion too, because they traveled or live nomadic lifestyles and like who live more extravagant lives. Like that's what I'm comparing to when I say like how to not live a boring life. I thought this would be a good comparison video, right? But just the ideas, the definitions of boredom are different for the two. But I still want to watch the rest and see why boredom is important.
Then they asked participants to be creative, generate as many ideas as they could for what you could do with a plastic cup. Those in the most boring read the phone book condition generated the most creative solutions compared to less bored controls.
So I guess it's stifling creativity in a way. As someone who has grown up a little more with technology. I think people in my generation are just used to being so involved in social media at all times. So our level of boredom is different from like our parents' level of boredom, where like they actually had the phone book and that was like, they didn't have TV, they didn't have smartphones, that kind of thing. So it's hard to compare, I guess.
Researchers suspect that we experience boredom is because it gives you an indicator of your current state. I mean, if you find yourself feeling bored, you know something about that situation isn't working for you.
Also, as someone who also films YouTube videos and stuff, I feel like this is like very ballsy to do. Like, I don't know if I would be able to film a part of a video in like a legit classroom, unless these are all hired actors, but that's not what's happening here. I think he just actually was like, oh, can I film here?
Weird, sluggish, and just disinterested. But it may actually spur you to action. It may get you to make changes that would be positive for your life. And changes like getting this guy's legs out of my face.
You know, one thing I will say is a little over a year ago, I think it is now, maybe exactly a year ago, I posted a video about me making a cherry blossom tree from scratch. I mean, I made the cherry blossom tree because I missed cherry blossom season in Japan, and that actually turned out to be one of my most popular videos. Now, the thing is, at the time, I was very bored, and I was just trying to figure out things that would be good content, but also things that I would be able to use in the future, as well as just like a nice experience that I can say that I did. I will say that being bored is not necessarily bad for the sake of creating content. I think it's actually a good thing.
In the absence of boredom, one would remain trapped in unfulfilling situations and miss out on many emotionally, cognitively, and socially rewarding experiences. Boredom is both a warning that we're not doing what we want to be doing and a push that motivates us to switch goals and projects.
So I guess they're saying that boredom is good for you because it creates change. In essence, boredom isn't necessarily great because you don't want to stay in it. Like, when I think like why boredom is good for you, that's the title of this video, obviously. I'm thinking like you want to be bored more often. Why? There's some good that happens from being bored, so you want to be bored even more often than not being bored. I guess that was what I thought the video was going to be about. But I think what they're trying to say more is boredom is indication to change your life, to help other people, to start something new, to be creative. So it sparks something new in your life, which I already knew. That's the obvious thing, right? But boredom isn't necessarily good in general, I don't think.
You know, studies designed to induce boredom have shown that more bored participants are more likely to donate to charity or to give blood. Can I ask what led you to donate?
Are you that bored that you need to donate blood? Like, you can you can do so many other things. Okay, no judgment. No judgment though.
Donate blood today?
I had free time on my hands, you know, just way to kill 2 hours, an hour and a half or so.
No, I honestly kind of don't believe that. That's an actor. That was set up. I don't know. You have an hour of free time and you choose to donate blood of all things. I feel like most people are gonna either like play a video game, watch a YouTube video, I don't know, even like do extra work or do chores or something like that. Anyway.
Every time you're waiting for something, you have a decision to make, which seems like a tiny one. Pull out your phone for a few seconds or minutes, or just be bored. Experience only your thoughts.
I guess that part's a little true, but I think if I'm out in public, like he is, and I pull out my phone, it's more because I don't want anyone else to come up and talk to me. Or let's say you're like, you order food and you're waiting for the food, right? Not even to eat, but to like for takeout and stuff like that, and you just have to wait in the corner or whatever. Like, if there are people around too, it's weird if you're not all on your phones. That's kind of the society that we've created with technology and everything like that. No one's just gonna stand there and kind of look around, right? And the times that I have done that, like just stood and kind of looked around, it was weird. I feel like people, like, I don't even know if they were like really staring at me because I try not to make eye contact, but it's so different because you're just used to seeing everyone on their phones, like if they're waiting for something, right? I don't know, I guess I should maybe try that. Start using my time when I'm waiting for my boba milk tea, right? When I have an order, I'm waiting for my tea. If I'm all alone, stare at a wall, figure out a new video idea.
And in making that decision, you are alleviating a moment of boredom. but you are also likely making yourself less creative, less altruistic, less likely to assess your current state, and less likely to set goals for your future.
So not to wrap up the video early or anything like that, but I feel like I already kind of get the point. If you rely on all these other technologies, social media and stuff like that, to take away your boredom, to not be bored, to find entertainment in those kinds of things, you are necessarily living more of a stagnant life where things aren't necessarily going to change because there is no change that is really needed, right? And I think that's very indicative of how I feel with content creators versus people who consume content. Not that people who consume content are not creative or anything like that, but I feel like the people who are content creators usually, first of all, they usually consume a little less content because they're busy making the content. But second of all, they have to think of these ideas and stuff like that compared to people who just consume content. Like, they're using all their time in order to watch videos. And we need those kinds of people as well to consume content, because otherwise no one would support the content creators in the first place, right?
Except in your case, the pain goes much deeper to the very nature of who you are and who you will become. So think carefully before pressing that button.
Is he saying to never watch like content? That's a very like cryptic kind of thing, like, oh, if you watch content, you're never gonna change your life and you're never gonna be anyone. Okay, I feel like overall, like, it goes over things that I didn't go over in my video, how to not live a boring life. It really kind of does state the obvious, and I guess there are a lot of people who are kind of trapped in that, like, oh, I consume so much content on YouTube, on TikTok, on anything like that, that I feel no need to create anything of my own. But I think a lot of people are happy living that way as well, and so maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the problem. Actually, I already knew that. I am the problem. If I think going skydiving for a second time or going bungee jumping for a second time isn't gonna be exciting, then I think I am the problem. Because my definition of boredom is different, because whatever I do has to be completely new for me to think that it's not boring, right? And I guess that could be a personality flaw. Luckily, I still think there are a lot of things I want to experience that I haven't, that are gonna fulfill me in some kind of way. Whether it's going back to Japan, because I feel like there's still a lot of things in Japan. There's still so many things I never got to experience, and I think that would be amazing. But even moving just to another country in general would be just as amazing, because Japan wouldn't necessarily be like a fresh start. Somewhere else would be completely fresh, because there's so many places I've never like lived in before. We're done reacting to that. So to summarize the video, I feel like basically it was saying that boredom is a good thing because it helps to promote change. It also helps to promote creativity, and you're not gonna have that creative mind as well as wanting that change in your life if you're relying on social media and other distractions in order to cure your boredom. And while I 100% agree with that, I feel like when I made my video about not living a boring life, or how to not live a boring life, I feel as though I've already identified my boredom and are now trying to figure out how to change it. While the video targets people who are mainly trying to confront their boredom with social media, aka saying that it's not a productive way to handle your boredom. I think the video is a little bit misleading, especially the title, because the title is saying that boredom is a good thing, when it's not necessarily that boredom is the good thing and we want to stay being bored, but boredom does help create change and create creativity in a lot of people. While I do agree with that, I don't believe that boredom is good. I think it's more of a cause and effect. Now, I don't know, maybe I was hoping for something a little different while I was reacting to the video, but I don't think necessarily my video and this video are on the same page, so it's hard to make a comparison. But I'm so glad that I watched it just for that context. I want to know from you guys, do you feel like you're wasting your time if you're using social media to cure your boredom? Do you feel like you should be doing something else instead of using social media when you are bored? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Peace.